We broadcast from studios at 15 Station Road East, Canterbury, to East Kent on FM stereo 95.1 MHz in the Canterbury area, 95.9 in Thanet, 96.3 in the Ashford area, and 97 for the Dover area. Medium wave transmissions are on 603 kHz, that's 497 metres. Invicta Sound also broadcasts from studios at 37 Earl Street, Maidstone, to West Kent on 103.8 FM stereo and on 1242 kHz medium wave, that's 242 metres. For further information of this service and independent local radio elsewhere in Britain, inquiries should be addressed to Richard King, the Regional Executive, Independent Broadcasting Authority, Lindeen House, Albion Place, Maidstone, Kent. That's Richard King, the Regional Executive, Independent Broadcasting Authority, Lindeen House, Albion Place, Maidstone, Kent.
Stand by, David. We're not going out at the moment from here for some reason. You're bringing up our end from in there, aren't you? Can't hear you. It's daybreak on Monday, the 1st of October. Good morning and thank you for tuning to Invicta Sound, the new sound of Kent, broadcasting from studios in Canterbury and Maidstone. This is Magnus Carter with 3 hours of news and information from the county, the country and abroad, and a little music too to help you start the day. That's after the news bulletin from Douglas Cameron in London and David Forsdyke in Canterbury. Invicta Sound on 603 kHz, 497 metres medium wave in East Kent, 1242 kHz, that's 242 metres in West Kent, and on VHF in stereo. Invicta Sound, the sound of Kent.
At its annual conference, which opens in Blackpool today. Neil Kinnock had hoped to avoid the issue of picket line violence altogether, but miners' delegates have made sure the subject is raised in today's debate on the pit strike. Judith Dawson reports.
Deputy Prime Minister Lord Whitelaw demanded from Labour an assurance they would condemn picket line violence. Shadow Home Secretary Gerald Kaufman said he must be deaf and dumb. They had condemned all violence repeatedly. And what about, Mr Kaufman wanted to know, the violence of the government and of Mr Ian McGregor, the coal board chief, whom he described as a geriatric vandal. It's the Tories, he says, who are to blame.
It is this government that is responsible for everything that is taking place and has been taking place ever since that strike was provoked by them more than 6 months ago.
This attack on the government, however, from a leading Labour politician doesn't overcome the problem that must be faced later today when police and only police are condemned from the conference platform. Judith Dawson, IRN, at the Labour conference.
21 miners' pickets have been arrested at the Mountain Colliery near Worksop, where 2 rebel miners are due to go back to work this morning. Ken Folston and Bob Taylor last week won a High Court ruling that the strike in their area is unlawful and not official. The police say the arrests came after one of their patrol cars was ambushed by about 100 pickets. A lump of concrete was thrown through the windscreen and one officer was injured. This morning, police had to remove a barricade of burning tyres from outside the pit. But Ken Folston says he and Mr Taylor won't be intimidated.
I've adhered to the strike call, which was said it was official. I haven't crossed no official picket line. The strike now is being deemed unofficial by the High Court, and as far as I'm concerned, I'm going about my lawful business and going back to work. There's no strike whatsoever in Yorkshire, so there's no official picket line.
The Pit Foreman's Union NACODs will today put forward proposals to the Coal Board aimed at ending the deadlock over the strike. The foremen have voted to join the NUM on strike, and they hope they can use their industrial muscle to help find a settlement to the 7-month-old dispute. The American fundraising group NORAID is denying that it had anything to do with the huge arms and explosives shipment captured by Irish police at the weekend. Last night, 5 men were remanded in custody at a special anti-terrorist court in Dublin. The Irish authorities believe the 7-ton shipment originally came from the United States. The Prime Minister's daughter, Carol Thatcher, says she can't understand all the fuss about her visit to a sex club in Bangkok. During one of the acts, she was asked to hold up a big green balloon, which was burst by a naked woman firing a dart from between her legs. Carol, who's a travel writer, says she was only doing her job.
It was just a bunch of journalists being shown Bangkok by night. We went into a couple of bars, and that's all that happened. Well, would you suggest that all the other journalists went and I didn't go or something? I mean, it's become quite ridiculous. It seems absolutely preposterous to even worry about it.
Independent Radio News.
And locally, a helicopter search has been launched this morning after a man fell overboard from a Dover-bound ferry. This report from Mark Savage.
The man was on the Townsend-Torrison ferry, the Free Enterprise 7, which is due to dock at Dover in 2 hours. He was reported overboard about 6 miles north of the continental port of Zeebrugge. A helicopter search was made of the area, but so far nothing has been found. Details of how the man went overboard are still sketchy and are unlikely to become clear until the ferry docks. Sea conditions in the area are reported to be windless and calm.
Detectives have launched an appeal for witnesses after an armed robbery at a Canterbury hotel. The manageress and a barman were threatened by 3 youths armed with a sawn-off shotgun, a knife and what's thought to have been a harpoon gun. They escaped with around £170, the day's takings at the Peanut Restaurant in the basement of the Aber Guest House in Station Road West. Manageress Gwen Sellers says she was frightened because the raiders seemed like amateurs.
The thing that unnerved me the most, Brian the gun, but me, was the knife, because he was jabbing, you know, it didn't hurt anyone, but he was threatened to and stab you and that kind of talk, you know. But in actual fact, I just don't know, I was afraid to panic in case, because they were very nervous, you see, and I thought that whereas they didn't want to do anything, if you panicked with fright, they would do something.
Kent Council's business chiefs say they're hopeful of attracting more Japanese investment to the county in a bid to boost jobs. Kent's the only county to have been invited to a major trade fair in Osaka run by Japan's biggest chamber of commerce. Back to the miners, and the Kent Miners President has warned Labour leader Neil Kinnock that he's got to give the NUM unconditional support in its battle with the government. The details from David Hutchings.
Malcolm Pitt issued his warning in Newcastle at the weekend. He was in the city for a march and rally organised by the area's Trades Council to show solidarity with the miners. Mr Pitt warned the Labour leader that he'd get a sore head if he stood between police and pickets, and he said Kinnock must give an unambiguous declaration of support for the miners at the Labour Party conference debate on the strike today. Mr Pitt said the young miners manning the picket lines had become frontline troops in the dispute, and he concluded, "We welcome the birth of a new generation of class fighters."
And finally, the rebel Kent farmer Hughie Batchelor starts a 2-month prison sentence today for chopping down protected trees. Mr Batchelor from Bearstead near Maidstone was jailed in July but allowed to stay free until after the harvest. This morning, the 58-year-old millionaire turns up at the gates of Pentonville Prison in London to begin his sentence. He was convicted of felling or lopping more than 40 protected trees on picturesque Castle Hill at Thurnham. That's it for now. Invicta News, it's coming up to 6 after 6.
Thank you, David. And the weather in Kent, heavy rain will continue on and off throughout the day. It'll become brighter, though, along the east coast, and the maximum temperature reaching 15 degrees centigrade, that's 59 Fahrenheit. The winds, northwesterly, will be light and variable, and the coastal weather conditions, first of all from Dover, there's no wind there at all at the moment. The sea is calm, visibility excellent, and the weather clear. From the Thames estuary, it's reported also no wind, the sea is slight, visibility 10 miles, and the weather fair. The high tides today at Sheerness, 14 minutes to 6 tonight, 11:21 the low tide is at 11:21 this morning, and at Margate the high tide is at 6 minutes to 6 tonight, and the low tide this morning at 10:39. You're listening to Invicta Sound.
The Renault you've always dreamed of can become reality when you visit E.G. Pritchard's for special autumn deals. Drive your old car to Pritchard's Sittingbourne or Pritchard's Ashford, and as long as it's got a current MOT, it will cover your deposit on any of the fabulous Renault range. And the balance is payable over 36 months at an APR of 31.3%. Call into Pritchard's today for a test drive and ask for full details. It pays to deal with Pritchard.
Derek Bingo, best estate agent in the world.
Isaac Grand, estate agent to the King and Queen of Rubovia.
While some estate agents have to shout about their reputation, Walter and Randall do not, because people have been telling us how good we are since 1875. Buying or selling your home, contact Walter and Randall. Quite simply, more experience.
Now Canterbury has a lot more style. The New Times Furnishing Store is open at 32 St George's Street. Fabulous furniture, beds, an unbeatable range of carpets, and interest-free credit over 6 months. Written details in store. So if you want a lot more style for your home, you'll find it at your New Times Furnishing Store. Come and see.
Invicta Motors, your main 4 dealers in Canterbury, Margate, Ramsgate and Faversham. Serving the motorist, industry, agriculture. In fact, keeping Kent on the move.
Invicta Motors with you all the way. Invicta Motors with you day by day.
Invicta service stations for SO petrol and accessories. Invicta used car centres. Invicta leasing and contract motoring. Invicta accident repair centres. Invicta trucks. Invicta agricultural. Canterbury Car Radio Centre. Invicta car and van hire. Invicta petroleum services. Fuel and lubricants for home, farm and industry. Be first with Invicta. See us or call us soon.
Invicta Motors with you day by day. Invicta Motors with you all the way. Invicta Sound, the sound of Kent.
The Beatles, of course, on their 1969 album, Here Comes the Sun, their 1969 album, Abbey Road. You're listening to Invicta Sound. Good morning and welcome to Daybreak. Invicta Sound is the sound of Kent. This is Magnus Carter with 3 hours of news and information for Kent. Let me first tell you a little bit about us. I'll be with you every weekday morning between 6 and 9. Then at 9 o'clock, the inimitable style of Don Durbridge makes a welcome return to the county's airwaves. You can hear Don every Monday between 9 and noon, every Monday to Friday, that is, between 9 and noon on Invicta, with his own choice of music and guests from all walks of life. I can't tell you everything Don's got lined up for you, but I do know that his guests this morning include Georgie Fame and Erin Geraghty, star of TV's Angels and mother of triplets, incidentally. Then at noon, Colin Maitland will invite you to join him and his studio guests for discussion of topical issues. All you have to do is pick up the phone to join them. Meanwhile, back here on Daybreak, in the next hour, we'll be reporting on an armed robbery in Canterbury, the weekend's controversial pop festival at Tunbridge Wells, why a Kent farmer travelled all the way to a Scottish knacker's yard to stock up his farm. We'll be talking to Gillingham football manager Keith Peacock, and we'll be looking at the Canterbury Festival Fringe. That's coming up on Invicta Sound, the sound of Kent.
Invicta Sound.
Jill Gascoigne talks about the outline way to slim.
Seems like everyone's keeping an eye on their weight, one way or another. And believe me, most people have problems when it comes to that extra pound or two. You go on a strict diet, get bored to distraction, sneak in one of the little somethings you can't live without, and soon you're back on all the things that put the weight on in the first place. Familiar, isn't it? Happens all the time. But here's a way to help you succeed. Outline. It has only half the calories of any butter or margarine. So if you fancy the occasional little treat to make it all bearable, you can have it and not feel you've blown everything. So don't forget Outline as part of your calorie-controlled diet. After all, isn't enjoying yourself half the battle of staying on a diet?
Do you have a not-so-young relative you're anxious about? Ward's Construction have the answer. Retirement bungalows and apartments in North and Mid-Kent designed to give the not-so-young total independence and security. Modern and easy to run, Ward's retirement homes come complete with external painting and gardening, all taken care of within the service charge. Each site also has its own steward, so residents always know there's friendly help close at hand. Ward's, builders of fine homes for 50 years. For details, call Medway 55111.
Ad scene. Res Free Sheet Newspaper Group wishes Highly Des new radio station all best on birth of bouncing baby Invicta.
Dutton Foreshore before October 12th and you'll drive into the right deal. Dutton Foreshore are offering incredible part exchange prices against brand new Metros, Maestros and Montegos. So whatever make of car you drive, regardless of its age, Dutton Foreshore will give you the keenest trade-in prices around. Visit Dutton Foreshore before October 12th and exchange your car now for a brand new Metro, Maestro or Montego. See us at Gravesend, Chatham, Strood, Tunbridge and Maidstone.
And the time is coming up to 16 minutes past 6 on Invicta Sound, the sound of Kent. This is Magnus Carter. Police in Canterbury are hunting a gang who held up a hotel at gunpoint and escaped with the day's takings. Detective Sergeant Fred Grundy says they're following up clues from guests and diners at the Aber Hotel in Station Road West and its basement restaurant, Peanuts. He says the manageress and the barman, Brian Smith, had just closed when the raiders struck.